And just like that, we are back. It's Mazzi, it's LiveZone, here with a special guest, two-time NBA champ with the Boston Celtics. ML Carr is with us to talk about his career, about all sorts of different sports and whatnot. Thank you for being here. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. Good to be with you guys today.
All right, so we got a few questions here from you, or for you, I should say. I'm going to start off with the first question. It's going right into your career. So, with the energy coming off the bench on historic Celtics teams, how important was your role as a backup, and how did you provide the energy during the games when it was needed the most?
Well, we had such great players on that team. If you know, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Cedric Maxwell. I mean, it was an incredible lineup. And to come off the bench, I used to say that it's like when I'm sitting there, it's like sitting on a throne. And it was so exciting to be a part of that. Such great players, great teammates. And so my job was to come on primarily as a defensive stopper. The Julius Irvings of the world, the George Gervings, those type of guys, for me to come out and sort of change the tempo of the ball game, and primarily through the defensive end. And so I felt good about it. It's a role I accepted. Quite different from my role in Detroit. My role in Detroit was not only to play defense at the highest level, but also to score a lot of points, and I did that. So being able to adjust was great.
All right. I love to hear it. That was a very important question to me because I'm a basketball player myself. When I was in high school, I was a 4-year varsity basketball player. I know the importance of having the backups or the role players be active on the bench when the team is down or everything like that. I know how it can impact a game. I know how it can change a game. And from what I have seen, you did that perfectly on this Boston Celtics team.
Well, I was very fortunate that had such great players to play with, and it was an incredible team. We got along extremely well on the floor and off the floor, and so everyone respected whatever role you played, and it was a wonderful thing to be able to do. So. And got those two shiny rings to remember those days by.
There you go. There you go.
Talking about role playing and throughout your career, I had a specific question to you and your opinion on this. What do you think over your career? What was your best game that you think you impacted the most, or had the most impact on, or helped will the team to victory in personally from you?
Well, I think if I go back, it was a game against Houston, which had the great scorer by the name of Rick Barry. And Rick was led the ABA in scoring at one time. He could score points on a hurry. And my job was to go out and stop him. And I got so much under his skin. It wasn't a high scoring game for me, but I kept him from doing what he usually would do. When there was a timeout, I even went to his bench with him. And the referee said, "Well, ML, you got to go to your bench. You can't do this." I said, "Show it to me in the rule book." And he said, "If you don't go to your bench, you're gonna get tossed." I said, "That is wrong because that's not what it is." And so I went to the bench. I never looked in at our bench during the timeout. I stared at Houston the whole time. And right before it was time for the it to be over, the timeout to be over, I ran down and escorted him back on the floor. I really got under his skin, and the garden was going crazy because they'd never seen anybody do anything like that. And so I went out there, and he got so upset in the third quarter, he shot me, the chicken wing shot me a little bone, and got a little foul on him there. Ordinarily, I would have taken him down, but I felt I've got him now. Mentally, I've gotten in his head. And so that was probably the most impactful I mean, there was a lot of games where, you scored, against the Lakers and Sixers and all that. But to me, that was the most fun that I ever had, dominate the game on the defensive end.
That's awesome. He was the first Brad Marchand, you know?
Yes, I do know. Nice compliment. Yes, yes.
All right. So, we talk about these Boston Celtics teams and these Detroit teams that you were part of. You were on two championship teams, like you said, 1981 and 1984. What team do you think was better in that respected role?
Well, without a doubt, it was 84. That team was unbelievable. No one believed that we could beat the Lakers. They thought they were the thoroughbreds and we were the Clydesdales. And it was off to the races. And when we were able to pull it off, that championship game, it was unbelievable. For 11 seconds of going the game, it's been documented in a nice photo. My arms are raised to the ceiling, to the
Yeah.
rafters. The place is going crazy. No one is sitting down. And we knew at that point we were going to beat the Lakers. And we were not given a shot to do that because they were very, very talented. And so winning that in the Garden, without a doubt, was the biggest time that I've had, the best time I had in professional sports. And so I love the fact that we all came together. People did different things. Gerald Henderson made the big steal. Larry was all over them offensively. He was getting it all done. Kevin was having a great game. Dennis Johnson in game 5 out there. He came up big. Game 3, we got beat by 33 points out there, the most in the Celtics ever gotten beat by. We came back game 4, and somebody came off the bench and made an incredible steal to end the chance of them winning it. So it was exciting. It was a lot of pieces to that game, and you can tell it is embedded in my brain. Every second of it you remember.
And
so
you
pretty
could
exciting.
tell tell the momentum it switched as soon as that still happened. The whole Garden was going crazy for it.
It was a little crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that being said about that team, we know about how the NBA has changed over time and there's different eras in the league.
Sure.
Do you think that team could play nowadays in this league and still be successful and possibly even win another championship again? Or is it just too far-fetched to compare?
No, we're all too old now. We couldn't beat them now.
Not. Yeah.
But if you guys were to
No, but I'll tell you, that team, those teams were, because you got Larry Bird leading you. It's unbelievable. In '84, and it was just incredible. I remember Cedric Maxwell, Game 7, came out and put on a show. Was MVP. That team, because we had such mental toughness, could play anybody anytime. I don't know, and you don't want to compare too much eras, but this team here now has got some of the same things, which I like. I love watching. This team that the Celtics have now is my favorite team since 1987 when Parrish, and I was gone, but Parrish and McHale and Larry they were all injured, and they kept getting up off the floor, coming back. They didn't win the championship, but they took it to the brink. That was my favorite team, even though, again, I was gone. But this team has got a lot of that in them. And I said to him, matter of fact, Coach asked me to speak to him right before the playoffs started. And I said to him, you guys got all the pieces. It's now the will. Do you have the will to make it happen? Because you got all the pieces, all the things are in the right place for you to do it. And they proved me right when I wanted. Now they gotta prove me again. They gotta
do it again.
Yeah.
We're hoping for 3. We're hoping for 3.
Right.
And now we talk about that 86-87 team as one of the best teams of all time. This is like more of like a personal question, but what made you want to retire after 85? and not be part of the continuing dynasty of the Boston Celtics?
You know, there are two reasons. One is because I had a hard time getting into the league. I was cut 3 times. One of the teams that cut me was the Boston Celtics, sent me to Israel to play for a year. I mentally had gotten tired. And then on the other side of that, I was so excited about the next phase of my career. I've always been an entrepreneur in my life. I just felt that I was born to be able to do that. So the guys used to say that my hotel room was my office, because when I would go, I'd be like on the phone back to Boston trying to do deals and different things. And I was excited about that. I was ready for it. And I wanted to retire in '84 because I wanted to go out on top after beating the Lakers. And Red Auerbach said to me, "We got a better chance of repeating with you on the team. You know, don't make an announcement. Let's come back." And I came back, and I did something back then which was typical of what would happen with the Celtics. I finally said to Red, "I'll come back, but I can't give you what I gave you before under that other contract. So I'll only come back if you cut the contract in half." And he, no, I said, "Well, I'm not coming back. If you cut the contract in half, then I'll come back, because I'm not going to feel guilty about not being able to do and give you what I did last year for the same money. I'm not going to do that." And so I talked them into doing that. And then I came back, and it was a great ride. It was tough to go out to the Lakers, a loss to them in '85 when I really wanted to go out in '84, but it was good. It ended up working out well in the long run. So Magic Johnson is wearing my championship ring, '85 ring. So if you see him, just grab his arm and twist it, ask him, give me my ring back.
For real. For real. You talked about your entrepreneurship. I was reading up a little bit on you. I heard that you wanted to originally, possibly before or during basketball, early in your career, be a lawyer. Did you ever obtain that? Did you pursue that after basketball in any type of way or anything like
I
that?
did not. Uh, Unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, success kept getting in the way. Opportunities kept getting in the way. I went over, when I signed my last contract with the Celtics, I did it with the intention of getting paid over a 3-year period of time while I would be in law school. That didn't happen because things opened up for me with New Balance. Things opened up with me with Channel 7, with Bank Boston at the time. All these opportunities kept coming. And I said, okay, I'll put it off a little longer and put it off. And I remember about maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I went over to Harvard to audit a class. And Professor Ogletree had invited me to come in because he knew I wanted to go to law school. And he said to the kids, Mr. Carr has done everything else he wanted to do in professionally, and he was thinking about coming to law school. Let's help him out. And they all cheered, do it, do it. I looked around the room and I goes, I'm old enough to be their grandfather.
I feel you.
So I never did it. And it really is something that I really wanted to do, because I felt that right from the early years, that would have been a nice calling for me. But again, success kept getting in the way.
Hey, can't complain about what transpired. I think it was
Right.
pretty fun.
Well, it worked out well. I got involved in a few businesses that I started. Some did well, some didn't do well, but it was the training that we go through in life. So it's a lot of great experiences, though.
Absolutely. I bet.
Absolutely. So you were in a very physical era of basketball, like probably the most physical era of basketball that we have seen on television to this point in day. A lot of fans nowadays says that the NBA is now soft, dramatic, and babyish. Why do you think they pushed that narrative now? And what made them go from a very physical era to the era that we're in now?
Well, you got to protect the players because you got so much invested in them now. The reality of it, the late Commissioner David Stern began to change that because a lot of things were happening. Players are getting hurt and different things. I remember playing with Detroit. a guy by the name of Howard Cosell, who was a big announcer, sports announcer. He said it must be something in the water in Detroit because we had in 6 games we had 5 fights in 6 games. So it was a lot of that. You had the guys like Dave Cowens, and Paul Salas, and all these guys, Wes Ensel. These guys beat you up, and you come down the lane, they just whack you. And so it led to a lot of physical play. And I was at the end of that myself. And when you started hitting folks and doing, there was a time when I undercut Dr. J in the spectrum. He goes in for a dunk. I reach down like I'm trying to tie my shoes, and he sent him. He didn't have a soft landing, and so they didn't want you doing that kind of thing. So people like Michael Jordan and Dr. J and all that. So they changed up the game. And a lot of it had to do with economics, and I understand that. But one of my, I guess, advantages that I had mostly, I didn't have a problem with the physical play. Matter of fact, I enjoyed the physical play at the time, and so you punish guys if you got a chance to do it, and they didn't kick you out of the league for 40 games or something.
Yeah.
That makes it a little soft. They don't allow you to do that. So
Well, the thing that I'm noticing is that, in your time in basketball, it was more about the game of basketball more than it was about the business side of basketball.
yeah.
And now it's more about the business side than the game. And I feel like that's why people see it that way now. You know what I mean?
Well, that's without a doubt. The economics has really changed the game. I mean, you think about it, the level of revenue that comes into the league, the players getting 57% of the defined basketball revenues, makes for nice salaries. I asked a couple of our Celtics now, and people like Steph Carr and those guys, they were making $40+ million, and all of a sudden Jalen comes along and gets 60, and then JT comes and get more than 60. And it won't be long because of the economics and because of glass technology, where you can actually be sitting where you are, make it look like you in the arena. You buy that seat, but 10,000 other people can buy the same seat. You have it also where gaming is going to play a major part in the increase in revenue. That's why the valuation of franchises now gone through the roof. It's not going to stop there to continue. So that really is, and it won't be long. You've heard it here on your podcast, that a player will be making $100 million in a single year. That's not going to be. That's not going to be long either.
Hot take.
Yeah, that's a very hot take. And not even just that, like going off of that, how important do you think having a crowd is compared to not having it, like having it virtually? Because like we've seen like during the COVID days, how important the crowd actually was to the game of basketball. The crowd actually makes it a lot more watchable to the average consumer. So
that's without a doubt. That's a great point. As a matter of fact, the crowd brings energy, it brings excitement. Guys do things a little bit different a lot of times when the crowd is into it, and when you have a knowledgeable fan base, it's even better, because they know when to get on you, they know when to back off, they know when to give you the cheers and the boos, and so that's helpful, very helpful. So you'll always have that, but the virtual part will add to it because they don't make the money off ticket sales. They make it off a lot of other things, including media, and the splitting of the revenue that will come in from gaming, some of the other things. So they could eventually don't. I know no owner want to hear this, but they could eventually give you the tickets, but because that's not where the large part of the revenue is. They probably make more money off the popcorn and beer than they do off the tickets.
Well, that's something they could do with those electronic tickets, as you said. if I can get the best seat in the house by putting on a headset that they send to me, and they can partner with DoorDash or an Uber Eats to bring me food during the game, I mean that's a $1 million idea right there.
Yeah,
So
no, you're
I
right.
mean,
You better
there you go. I could see the NBA doing that no
you
matter
better
what.
trademark that. You better
Yeah.
trademark
I have an
that.
iPhone Note from 2018. I'm pretty sure with that written down or something. Uh, so obviously you played with Larry Bird, the greatest shooter of all time. Maybe yes. Larry Bird said you were one of his favorite teammates to play with all time, though, in an interview, and we wanted to know what that meant to you as a player for the Boston Celtics, knowing that Larry regarded you so highly.
Well, it means a lot to me because Larry is someone that is very respectful of the game, and he was very demanding, and he was very demanding by virtue of the way he played and approached the game or practice or whatever. No one worked harder than Larry, just didn't, and he he appreciated the things that you did for the game and for the team. As a matter of fact, when I was made the decision to retire, Larry said, "You guys ought to pay him $1 million a year, not to let him retire. Don't let him retire. Just to travel. He doesn't have to play. Just go with the team," which was a great compliment. And Larry, when I think someone, I forget who was brought it to me, that Larry said that I was, one of his best teammates or whatever he said in that regard. That meant a lot to me because I knew that this guy respected the game and he respected those who respected the game in terms of the way they approached it. So it meant a lot. And Larry and I stay close. We chat, quite a bit. Used to be about pick and rolls. Now it's about those grandbabies.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
but it's great. I remember I sent Larry a text, and it was my grandson who's now 9 years old. He was 7 years old at the time, and he was dribbling two balls with two balls at the time, and he was looking up, didn't have his head down, he was looking up, just dribbling, right? So I said to him, I guess he's going to be the next Pistol Peter Larry Bird, and Larry wrote back, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that at 7 years old. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
That's awesome.
it was. It's been a great run. You can tell how fond we are of one another and what we accomplished together.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I want to go into your coaching days a little bit here. So when you coached the Boston Celtics in 95, 96, you had the chance to work out with a young Kobe Bryant. Um, Instead of picking Kobe Bryant at the sixth spot, you ended up picking Antonio Walker with that pick. I want to know, did you have that last call to not go with Kobe Bryant? Did you see something that you didn't like from Kobe that you did in Antonio Walker? And who was the Celtics' first option? What is the story there?
Well, that was the year 1996, and we called it the Super Six of '96. Those top six players, and that included Iverson, who went number one. That was Ray Allen. That was Williams. That was Antoine Walker. That was so we knew that those six were going to be surefire players. Kobe was 17, 18 years old at the time. He's been around the game all his life because his father played. I played against his father, uh, but it was a risk, and we thought it was a high risk. Uh, Not that he wouldn't become a great player downstream, but he thought it was early. And they made the decision, and Charlotte took him, Jerry West made the decision that he wanted him, so he traded for him and got him. I think in terms of that, somebody asked me once before, if you had to do it all over again, would you do that? Would you do that? Would you take Antoine instead of? And the answer, yes, knowing what I knew at the time, what we had at the time. But Kobe went on to be one of the all-time greats. And so hindsight, yes, it's like some of the deals that I've done. Gosh, if I knew ahead of time what it was going to end up, I would have done something a little different with the deal. But that's not the way life works. Uh, I the only reason I would say sitting here today with you guys that I wish I'd have taken him, and that's not a knock on Antoine because I loved Antoine. But Kobe would probably still be with us because he probably wouldn't have been on a helicopter running back and forth to avoid that LA traffic. And I've thought about that often. How that could have possibly changed his life had he come to Boston as opposed to, being in LA and having to he used to go take a chopper to almost every game to avoid that thick traffic in LA. Of course, that's not to say that traffic is great in Boston because there's some bad drivers in Boston.
It is.
But that LA traffic is no joke. I've been in that traffic before. That's no joke.
Right, but I've thought about that, and you can hindsight is always a bit. But I tell you, he was one of the great when I really admired him. One of the photos that I've kept and I have with him is with a Celtics jersey on, workout jersey, and actually it's one of the best workouts of all the guys we tried out. He really understood the game. His interview was probably better than his workout. He understood the game. He knew the game. He knew. And he had a lot of respect for players that came before him and all that. So it was a sad day when I heard that Kobe had gone down with his daughter. And then the first thought was, man, sure wish I would have taken him to come to Boston. But that's just hindsight.
That's life.
Yeah.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we talk about the Kobe Bryant, RIP, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, leads me into one of my fun questions that I have for you. What is your top 5 NBA players of all time through all the years of basketball? Any position that you really want. You don't have to build the starting 5. It's just your top 5 players, whatever it is, impactful to the game, whether it's actual statistic numbers, go for it. I'm just very curious.
Why did you bring him on and ask the tough question? Didn't he have something to do this evening?
I got a tougher question for you. Don't worry. I got a tougher question.
And he asked this tough question while he's smiling too, Well, something. I look at what a great list to pull from, first of all. And when I look at it, I have to say that a guy like Bill Russell would be on my team because he was a winner. Not that he scored more points than Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt was one of the most dominant players ever, but Russ would be on my team. I would definitely have Larry Bird on my team because Larry's going to figure out you got 2 winners there. And now you said you've gotten 2 Celtics right from the beginning. Michael Jordan would be the other one, and Mike's parents and my parents live about 1.5 miles from one another down in North Carolina. I've known Michael all his life. He's probably the second best player to come out of my hometown.
God, I love that.
So Mike would be there. There's an interesting thing when it comes to trying to pull these type guys together. I would have, and this is going to be where it's going to go out on a real limb. I would have George Gervin on my team. Iceman was nobody could find the basket better than Ice in multiple ways, whether it was the finger roll or whether it was the hook shot or whether it was the jump shot. The guy just could score. I mean, he led the league in scoring, I don't know how many, 3 times. He's just incredible.
Wow.
You put him on the team with Larry, you got plenty of offense now.
Yes.
And I think I would have to go Now, this is going to go out there a little bit too, because this is between two icons. And I'm going further back than the newer guys, but Jerry West, the late Jerry West, it would be a hard pull between he and Oscar for me.
Okay.
I
I
spent
like
a lot
it.
of
I
time.
like it.
I spent a lot of time with Jerry over the years, but if I had Russ in the middle, Larry, and a guy like Jerry and Michael, we've got lots of firepower.
Yeah,
And
shout out
110%.
to Jerry West for being friends with
and
the
I'll tell
Celtics.
you, and I'll tell you, Michael Jordan was an excellent defensive player.
110%.
Defense, he could play some defense. He could shut you down defensively,
Yeah.
even though he's such a great scorer. Larry, Larry just figured out how to get it done. Period. No, whatever it was that needed, Larry was going to get it done. So that would be a pretty good starting five. And I know a lot of people are going to say LeBron. They're going to say Wilt Chamberlain. They're going to say, well, I say bring them on. Let's have that battle.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, this is really the hard question here. I don't think it's hard, but a lot of other people do. People talk about the best basketball player of all time, and two names get brought up a lot in that conversation.
Yep.
I want to know, are you Team LeBron or are you Team Jordan?
I'm Jordan. And the reason I say that is because LeBron had a chance to watch and see some of the things that Michael did and some of the other. Mike had to invent a lot of the stuff that he did himself. And Mike had to carry a lot before Scotty and some of the other guys came along. But when you look at the level and the focus that we had on him, Dennis Johnson and all the guys that went at him in the playoff game in Boston, he still came up with 61 or 63 points. Mike could score on anyone at any time. And he had one of those, and it's not that LeBron does not have the killer instinct, but Michael sort of took this to a whole nother level in terms of mental dominance. And I think that's the difference. As you talk about physical play, physical abilities, LeBron is right there. But when you put that other piece in there, I say Michael.
All right, hey, I'm with
And
you.
you know what that just did? It elevated me to number one because I said he's the second best player to come out of my hometown.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too.
Hey, I'm with
Big
you. I think I'm personally on Team Michael as well. Mazzi, not so much. He's
when
a
it comes
LeBron
down
guy.
to actual physical specimen that's played the game of basketball, I think there's nobody that's built as great as LeBron is
I
all
agree.
time.
No, I agree with you on that. If you talk about the physical specimen type, I want Wilt Chamberlain. I want LeBron. I want these guys. These guys were unbelievable when it came to that. I
Yeah.
remember Wilt at a summer league game. Wilt was there, and Wilt said, "Hey, Carr, what do you got there?" I said, "Oh, this is my little son. That little son now is 47 years old." And he said, "Well, let me see that boy." And he grabbed him, and he was holding him, and he had him fit between his wrist and his elbow, and he had him holding him. I said, "Oh, Wilt, wait a minute. You're prone to turnovers. You got to put two hands on my son.
Yeah.
That's not what I."
I love it.
Wilt got such a kick out of me saying that. It was funny. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Now you played a lot of basketball, a lot of good teams, a lot of good players, a lot of different environments as well. I want to know for you, what was the most intimidating environment you ever played in outside of obviously Boston has loud ruckus stadiums and whatnot. But like besides Boston, what was the craziest stadium or craziest game that you remember playing in with the energy?
In Bamako, Mali, Africa, back in 1970, playing in a game, and it was a goodwill tour for the United States college, and all of a sudden we were leading and we were beating them like really bad, and all of a sudden they started to make a little run because we let up, figured the game's gonna be over, and they said to us, "This game is never gonna end until you blow them back away totally." And all of a sudden, one of the players on our team made a move. The guy went up in the air. He came down. The guy hit his head, opened up, and I'm looking around, and all I can see is members there, fans there from all over the place. Must have been 5, 6, 7,000 people outside, and we playing on the outside court, and we're surrounded. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. So we when they finally the guide got us all over there, they said, look, this game is not going to end. You guys have to go out and you have to blow them away, because if it stays close, they're going to play this game till tomorrow morning. And so we went back out. We did. You talk about frightened. We didn't know what was going to happen from the folks in the audience, and and we didn't understand what they were saying. And we started laughing later afterwards. After we got out of there, I said, "Oh, they were saying, oh, get the guard, get the poor guard." I said, all I want to know, I didn't want to be close to you because you're the one, flipped the guy and got the gash in his head. So, so that was in my most intimidating game. But if you're talking about the NBA, the NBA was probably Philadelphia.
Okay.
Philly was a tough place to play. The fans would they'd come at you from every angle, and so that was probably the most.
They
hostile.
still do.
Tougher than LA?
Yeah. LA is
Fake fans.
LA fakers.
Yeah.
No, hey, that's not real. Jack Nicholson and all of them. I had a blast with Jack, but no. Philly fans really got into it. It was crazy. Some of the things they would do, and it was very hostile.
I'm sure Boston was just as good, but it was good to be on the same side as it, right?
I came into Boston after playing. I was at Detroit. I was playing against John Havlicek, and John scored the quickest 27 points anyone had ever scored on me at that time. All he would do was go down the middle. He had an option to go off. One side would be Dave Cowan. He'd step out and he'd pop you. Or you can go off with Paul Solis and he'll step off and pop you. So John would do that. And then John would come off the pick. And when you getting rocked by one of those forearms, John would go, bing. So I said, okay, we got to Boston. I'm saying, and I've never played in Boston. I said, I'm not going to let him do that. He's not running me off those picks. So I come down the middle. John's taking me down the middle. I stop, planted, and I pop John with a forearm. Boom.
Oh no!
I thought I was back in Bamako, Mali, except instead of being all black face, it was all white face. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me!
Yeah.
Oh, they wanted to kill me. I said, oh my gosh! So Big Bob Lanier said, hey, I thought you were smart. You don't hit John Havlicek in the Boston.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's a no-no. That's a no-no.
Don't do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was one of those learning curves I had to do. You don't hit guys like Larry and John in the garden. So
never.
But it was guys, as you can see, it's been a great run. I've had a wonderful, wonderful career. It's been a lot of great memories. And people like yourselves, young broadcasters and fans, whatever, you guys keep it alive, and it's, I commend you for that. I am thankful for even asking me. That's what happens when you go to the grocery store doing your errands, and some person walks up to you and said, "I think I know who you are," and I'm like, I hope he's not a detective. So, anyway, it was nice meeting you guys, and
it was great to meet you as well.
Continue with the show. Thank you.
I appreciate everything. You were amazing. It's been an honor to have you on our show. And with that being said, Mazzi, do you have anything else?
No, just want to thank you, ML. Thank you so much for being here. Amazing that he met you off chance at the grocery store. It's great. If you'd ever like to come back, we do football as well. We know that you like to talk football as
I
well.
do.
So if you want to come on there for predictions, you're very welcome to, or top picks, whatever. But thank you so much for coming on here.
Great.
Dynamics on the hardwood. This is LiveZone Sports. As always, we're on the socials, TikToks, everything.
Great.
LiveZone. We just ask the people to do what?
Stay tuned.
I thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
All right. You got it. Thank you.